Alrighty, folks, thank you so much for joining us. It's the eve of one of the biggest games, if not the biggest games this year on the African calendar, and that is none other than Al Ahly in action against Kaizer Chiefs in the CAF Champions League final. So it's a big encounter because there's 2 points of interest for us South Africans, obviously Kaizer Chiefs, but on the other side, it is Mosimane, who's leading out Al Ahly, looking to get his third winners medal as far as the CAF Champions League, and of course the 10th for the club. But for Kaizer Chiefs, this is territories unknown. They're going for their first, making this appearance, and it's been an incredible run. Let's be honest. They look dead and buried and lethargic and not up to it in the league, but this competition really showed another side of Amakosi. So Amakosi now in a final. They've got one game to go before they can write their names into history. But of course, it is going to be a very well-oiled machine up against them. Remember, Kaizer Chiefs haven't kicked the ball in about 3 weeks as far as competitive action is concerned. So they're coming up against a side who are a bit more, let's say, in the mood and in the groove. And joining me tonight to kind of discuss and look ahead is none other than John T. Mark, who joins us from the Citizen, editor of Pagati. John T., good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday to look ahead to the game. It's a big match. And of course, the big thing about this one is that Chiefs have a lot of expectation from their fans. But, I guess neutrals are looking at this one and saying they are the underdogs, with Al Ahly favored to kind of, bag this one. It's not going to be that straightforward, is it, though?
Yeah, I mean, they are the underdogs, but then they've been the underdogs for much of this competition. I think nobody's really expected them to get this far, so they can kind of riff off that a bit and turn up with less pressure on them, really, than Ahly. Because Ahly, they say, if you don't win the Champions League with Al Ahly, you haven't had a successful season. It doesn't matter if you win the Egyptian League, the Egyptian Cup, whatever, you've got to win the Champions League. Chiefs, right. I think less so, although obviously with the awful domestic season they had, they could do with the trophy, and they haven't won one in quite a few years now. So, and this would really be a huge one. But yeah, as underdogs, they can certainly go in with a bit less pressure than Ahly. Although Ahly, yes, heavy favourites given their experience. Obviously going for La Decima, the 10th Champions League, and given the experience of their coach, Mosimane, who's played in this competition for so many years in a row that he's won it twice, and he knows how to win the Champions League, if you like. Maybe with respect to Stuart Baxter, great coach, has never won the Champions League. Arthur Zwane and Dylan Shepherd never won the Champions League. So, Pizza and Ahly have all that experience behind them, will be heavy favourites to win the game. But in a one-off match, especially I think in a one-off match, which the last couple of Champions League finals have been, thanks to COVID, this is a more of a chance, really, because it's one-off knockout game. We've seen surprises in plenty of cup matches before, cup finals before. Chiefs have experienced their own fair share of domestic cup finals where they've been stunned. So why shouldn't they do the same to Al Ahly?
No, for sure. But what do you make of this layoff, I guess, in terms of Chiefs? They're not being active for such a while. I mean, obviously, regeneration, rest is important. But obviously, on the other side, you have the momentum of being regularly in footballing action, which they haven't been for 3 weeks. How do you think that's going to manifest itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could work either way. They could come in looking a bit rusty, looking like, they haven't played for 3 weeks, or they could be sharper, rested and refreshed, while Ahly have played game after game, and they could be the ones who look a little tired. So it could work kind of either way. I think, with the new coach in charge on the bench this time as well, for the first time with Baxter there, I think there'll be a bit of a lift from that. Obviously, he's already brought a bit of a lift in terms of Gavin Hunt leaving, and you've seen it in the results. In the domestically with Dylan and Arthur Zwane, and on the continent in what they did against Wydad in the semi-final. So I think there has been a bit of a boost, and I think it's been a long season. They've played a lot of games, so maybe 3 weeks off would have helped them a bit to get some fitness, get some freshness. But it is obviously a bit of a risk when you come in 3 weeks and you've got to suddenly play a huge game like this, that you might get caught on the back foot a little bit, and by the sort of sharper team who have been playing regularly. So it's sort of, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, if you like.
No, for sure. Al Ahly in good nick coming into this one, have won their last 3 games and scoring about 10 goals in that run. So they last kicked the ball on Sunday. I'm sure there was, as far as, you know, personnel changes, there were players rested ahead of this one. So it's going to be interesting from that perspective. But of course, you know, we're seeing a new era as far as Kaizer Chiefs. We have the intervention from their fans. And, you know, we've kind of seen now some movements. You know, you've got Mr. Nseki coming in. You've got Kaizer Jr. being deployed as technical director. How integral would this kind of be if they got this right in this final to what is essentially, you know, their new dawn? I mean, it seems like they have a different ambition and a different path they want to go down and take it back to basics. How important is, you know, this project or this final as part of that project for them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've tried to put some structures in place. I think they're more long-term structures with in charge of development and Kaizer Jr., as you mentioned, coming in. I think it'll take a few years before we see if the fruits of that kind of labor have come. Sorry, if something positive comes out of that, might take a while to sort of see that. But in the immediate term, obviously, if they do win this, you know, there's lots of spin-off benefits for them in the sense that, you know, they get to play in the FIFA Club World Cup, get to play in the African Super Cup, which is great for the Chiefs brand. You know, I mean, they're already the most successful footballing brand in South Africa. There's not much doubt about that. And the most popular club in South Africa. So for them as a brand, it's huge for them to, if they can win this, certainly in terms of those things. Obviously, there's a slight added bonus that they'll knock Orlando Pirates out of continental football next season, which is just a bit of a plus for, I guess, for in terms of the Soweto rivalry. But for Chiefs, it'll give them a big boost as well heading into next season. And I think already, you know, sneaking into the MTN8's giving them a bit of a lift. And you know, if they can win this, then, you know, I mean, they'll be flying into next season, you would think, under Baxter, who obviously comes with that very successful first spell that he had with the club, where he won 2 league titles and 2 cups. And, you know, so he comes with that kind of, if he doesn't know how to win the Champions League, he certainly knows how to win the DSTV Premiership. So he'll come with that experience going into next season as well.
All right, Kosi fans, how do you see it? Because sometimes, you know, if you have a moment like this and an opportunity like this and it comes too soon, some organizations tend to allow that to paper over the cracks. Would it be in your best interest to win this trophy for the long-term project, or are you a bit skeptical as to, you know, how this will turn out and maybe people will rest on their laurels, considering when you see projects like the Al Ahly one and how long it takes to get to their point, that maybe Chiefs are part of really starting that rebuilding process? We know that it started and was starting under Gavin Hunt, but I think it will begin in earnest yet again with Stuart Baxter. This might be a good way to start it, though. Well, how do you feel, Chiefs fans? Do you want the win? Of course, it would be ideal, but do you think, is it one of those things you'd rather earn as far as, you know, with a new rebuild project? And starting with this coach who gets to come in at the last game. And that is the big bone of contention for a lot of people, is that they've seen Arthur Zwane and Dylan Shepherd kind of, you know, steady the ship and, you know, carry on with this momentum in this competition. And now Stuart Baxter, you know, albeit, you know, through no fault of his own, he's been waiting for the work permit. It's been the only thing in the way. Now gets it in time to take to the bench for this one, Jonty. Is it fair that Baxter will now take over the reins? And that comes from Smoothies on YouTube.
It's a good question. I mean, look, Arthur Zwane and Dylan Shepherd have done brilliantly, obviously, in the last 2 Premiership games and in the semi-final. Although in the semi-final, you know, you can say it was all Zwane and Shepherd, or you can say Baxter probably had a bit of a say. You're right. Coming in probably had a bit of an influence. You know, and I think the way Chiefs defended in that semi-final had a bit of Baxter's imprint on it. I mean, it's very difficult to tell, obviously, 100%. and on the touchline during the game, but Baxter couldn't do anything really. He had to sit in the
Mm.
stands and watch. So yeah, there, Zwane and Shepherd were more involved and fully deserve. If Baxter hadn't got his work permit, they would have fully deserved to take the final. But I mean, Baxter's signed a contract as the head coach of Kaizer Chiefs, presumably meaning that when his work permit comes through, whenever that is, he is obliged to sit on the bench and be the head coach of Kaizer Chiefs and be at the pre-match press conference as he was today. So you can't really blame Baxter for getting his work permit and taking up the job that he's signed a contract to do. I think
you couldn't blame Pizzo when he arrived at Ahly and
well,
walked
exactly.
into,
It was similar.
you
It
know
was
what
a
I
bit
mean? It was
different with
similar,
Pizzo because the other head coach had gone, like Rene
Right.
Weiler, had completely gone. So this is a bit different because obviously Zwane and Shepherd are Baxter's assistants.
But but they're not the head
But still,
coach.
he's the head coach.
Exactly.
So he must take his position as the head coach. I think it's just unfortunate. If you're in the pro, Zwane and Shepherd should be the head coaches for this game camp. If you're in that camp, then it's unfortunate timing. But I mean, he is the head coach. He's contracted to be the head coach of Kaizer Chiefs, so of course he must be on the bench on Saturday evening. It'll be interesting to see, like, if there's any backlash. Of course, if Chiefs lose and lose heavily to Ahly, if there's any backlash at Baxter. I mean, I suppose there might be, but for now he's just doing the job he's employed to do. So I don't think we can too much.
I don't know. I don't think there'll be too much backlash. I think, I guess, you could say that he's kind of been brought in to stabilize things, and hopefully that means it's not a drubbing. Even if they lose, it's with grace. But obviously that's not even on the minds of Kaizer Chiefs fans as far as that's concerned. But for Pizzo Mosimane, he's turning into a bit of an icon. Interesting hashtag around him. Hashtag 10th_star_Mosimane. Making the rounds on Twitter. And that's because the Al Ahly fans, are looking to him to take them to the promised land with his 10th title. And, he is so up for it. The latest words coming from him are bordering on belligerent. But, he's saying, if you don't want pressure, get out the kitchen. This is why I'm here, for these big moments, and I'm here to deliver. So he knows his mandate. Clearly.
Yeah, I think also for him it's a big moment in the context of the fact that when he took over Ahly, they were already in the semis. He got them the trophy, which is no small feat. He didn't go the whole way with them this time. He has. You could even go back as far as 2016 with Sundowns and say, well, Sundowns were knocked out of the competition at one stage. It had nothing to do with them. That they got back into it, really. Right. It was another team fielding an ineligible player in a match that they didn't even take part in. Then they came back and he did brilliantly to win it. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. But you could say this is the first time he's gone from beginning to end with a team without ever getting knocked out.
For sure.
All the way to the final. So for him, it'll be another feather in his coaching cap, if you like, if he can take them, and a special landmark for him also, obviously, which is what has led to this hashtag to the 10th one. Ahly, by far the most successful team in this competition. So if he can be the man who is at the helm for that, I think he's done well. He's done exceptionally well this season. Again, showing what an astute tactician he is. Taking them all the way. Didn't worry too much about finishing second in the group behind Simba. Took down Sundowns in the quarterfinals. Breezed past Esperance in the semis, and now obviously taking his place in the final against Chiefs. It'll be interesting because it's obviously a resumption also of the rivalry between Stuart Baxter and Pizzo Mosimane that dates back to 2012, 2013, and the few seasons after that where they kind of shared the league title between them a bit. So that also adds a bit of extra spice into the mix. And I'm sure Pizzo will want to prove again that he's the best, he's got every chance to do that at the helm of such a big club with a very talented squad and obviously a good coach, good South African coaching team alongside him. I think as South Africans we can look at this as kind of a win-win story, if you like, in the sense that if Chiefs win, yeah, I mean, it'll be far bigger because they're the most popular team in the country. But if Pizzo wins, he's got Kevin Johnson alongside him. He's got Mosimane. He's gone alongside him. He's got, the fitness trainer alongside him. All
Each
South
camp will
Africans.
have the backing of the South
All
Africans
South
when they win.
African.
Yeah.
So South Africa will win either way, and it's
Yeah.
good for the country, I think, especially now when we're not much is looking particularly rosy on the South Africa front, if you like, and this would be a good boost. So yeah, there's all those elements, but I think it's going to be a cracking game, whichever way you look at it.
I think so. And Kosi fans, you have met Ahly before. It was in the strangely named African Cup Winners' Cup. You were champions of that one. And then you guys met in 2001. You don't want to hear it, but you lost 4-1 that time around. So
Super Cup.
The CAF Super Cup was that. Yeah, that was the trophy. And Chiefs had gotten there by being the African Cup Winners' Cup. So joining us on the line now is a Chiefs legend. I'm so sorry that I dropped that pearl of wisdom there just as you joined us about your Kosi team. Pani Matira, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How big is this occasion for the Kosi Nation?
Well, good evening to our viewers. I think it's very big, Gabs, I must say. Hi, Jonty. I think it will be very big. And
greetings, Fanny.
They managed to get to the finals. We must say. It's just that I'm a bit disappointed because I thought Zwane and Dylan Shepherd were doing well, So, but there comes Mr. Baxter. So I think it's just stealing their shine.
Really? You think he's stealing their shine? I mean, he was employed to be the coach. He was brought in to be the coach. He's got his work permit in time. I mean, I'm sure he's also still contributing to the technical plan. Surely he must be on the bench.
Well, it was nice when it was on the stands, but really, I think this time around, those two, they are a close book to Coach Peter Mosimane. Remember, that was going to be their weapon, element of surprise. So if you bring then the coach that Coach Peter knows, so he knows how to play against the Baxter, because he has watched the games. Because if Ahly scored first, that would be a very difficult game for Chiefs because they need to get a standard situation, corner kick or free kick to score. If they are going to come pound to pound with Ahly, I don't think they will stand the pressure that they will get from Ahly.
That's an interesting viewpoint as far as those two coaches being a closed book. I mean, you would assume that Peter would have done his due diligence either way, having looked back on the recent games. But John T, good point that now Peter knows exactly what he's getting in Baxter, and maybe that might be the undoing.
Yes and no. Baxter beat him to the league title. Baxter obviously has that experience. I mean, if you want to look at Baxter, he has that experience in 2019 as well of beating Egypt in Cairo in the African Cup of Nations in the last 16. So, he can, and a lot of Ahly players obviously play in the Egyptian national team. So he's proven he can do it. I think, but I do understand where Fanny's coming from in the sense of Arthur and Dylan got the team to the final on the touchline, so they deserve to be on the touchline. But then
they're going to be there.
But if Chiefs wanted Arthur and Dylan on the touchline, they shouldn't have hired Baxter.
Exactly, I guess.
And they hired him, so that it says that management of Chiefs didn't want them as permanent head coaches, and Baxter's the permanent head coach. So there's not much, as I said, we can do about it. He's got the work permit. It's his right to be on the bench. He's the coach. He signed the contract. You could argue that he would be not fulfilling his contractual obligation if he was to sit in the stands when he has a work.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I think it's just unfortunate timing. That's my opinion. Because I totally understand that you could say that it would have been nice, the sort of storyline of the former Cosmos men that I saw. I think the esteemed soccer writer Matsalani Mamabolo wrote about that rivalry between those two, both coming from Cosmos, Pizzo and Arthur Zwane. I mean, that would have been nice as well. It's still a nice storyline, but yeah, I guess you'll see the main face you'll see, or the face screaming orders from the touchline on Saturday night will probably be Baxter's.
Okay.
Just how it
All
is.
right. Funny. Looking at the makeup of the two teams, as far as stars and talent, they've got plenty of that on the side of Al Ahly. Whereas Kaizer Chiefs, if we're honest, is now a mix of experience and the youngsters coming through. You do have the marquee players like Kama, but he hasn't had the best of seasons. How do you then take on a team with the work ethic, with the motivation, and with the quality that Al Ahly have, and still give yourself a chance?
Definitely, Kabza, it will be difficult because with the experience they possess, Al Ahly, they have played in the World Cup teams, club finals,
Yeah,
and they are used to that high pressure game, and their intensity is much very higher. It's in their DNA. They've been playing. They played, I think, last week because they won 4. Was it 4-0 or 4-1?
4-1, yeah.
So yeah, so they are the team to watch. And when you look at the players that are there in that team, I mean, they are experienced players, and I think they can withstand whatever that Kaizer Chiefs can come with. The question will be with Kaizer Chiefs, because that game will be energy sipping, and you're talking about players like Karma Billiard and them, and some of them, Parkers, Katsanes, they weren't playing any competitive game as compared to Al Ahly. So if they turn the screw higher, Al Ahly, I think they won't stand. They won't be able to last for the rest of the game. We don't know how far the game will go, and the beauty with this beautiful game is that we can say whatever that we are saying, but when it comes to the game itself, it will be a different ball game. We've seen it. We expected Man City to beat Chelsea, but Chelsea won. And Chelsea in the league, they were not doing well before Tuchel came into the team. With Pizzo on the other hand, he joined Al Ahly and they went to the finals of the Champions League, African Champions League, and they won. So there are a bit of similarities there.
Yeah,
so maybe
it could be the
Baxter,
time.
it can happen.
It could be the time for the new manager bounce to kick in. Now, obviously, as far as Coach Baxter is concerned, he does have the option of keepers as far as, who starts in between goals. Fanny, I'll start with you for Kaizer Chiefs. Who do you start with in that all-important position at the back and goalkeeper?
I'll bring back the young man, Bavuma.
Yeah, just based on what is that based on? Because almost you get the big reset due to the 3 weeks of inaction. Everyone's now almost on an even keel. Yes, you can carry on with him because he's been in the competition, but if you have everyone fit and ready and raring to go, do you still go Bavuma?
I will definitely, because he was the one that was on form, if you recall. And last time he didn't play because of some reasons. It's not that it was because of a tactical change or whatever. There were reasons behind that. Yeah.
Okay. And Jonty, do you think he carries on?
It's hard because you've got a massive one-off game, one-off final, but I do think that Bavuma has earned his stripes in the latter part of the season and deserves it. But obviously, you've got a Nigerian international and a South African international in your squad, and two very experienced goalkeepers. So it's not an easy decision for Stuart Baxter, whoever has to make it, to make. But I do agree with Fanny in the sense that Bavuma was not left out, as he said, of the last game because he did anything wrong. He was left out, I think, because there was some
COVID reasons. Yeah, COVID
there
reasons.
in the camp, if I'm not mistaken. He had to be quarantined. Some members of the team did. So there's no performance-related reason that he was left out. So I would say, give the youngster a chance to back up what he did in the first leg of the semi-final in Casablanca, and perform in the same stadium which he's already played in, do it again. Because if he keeps a clean sheet, the chances that Chiefs will win the game, they'll only need a single goal, and that'll be that.
Yeah, but guys, the guy who deputized for him, had a good game, has continental experience, has been in big moments for Nigeria. The pressure. He's been at the World Cup, guys. So are you telling me that we carry on with the youngster who didn't play the last game, I admit, through no fault of his own, but, it's a big occasion.
He's the one for the future.
Okay. I'm interested to know.
I think that he deserves to start the game. If you ask me who I think Baxter will start with, I will say probably Akpay on the basis of what you mentioned. But I think that Bavuma deserves to start the game. And I think that Akpay is not immune to mistakes. Kune is not immune to mistakes. Bavuma is not immune to mistakes. And on the basis that Bavuma hasn't done anything wrong, he just had a COVID scare. I would say that's the guy who deserves to be in the team on Saturday evening.
Fanny, who do you think the players trust the most out of the three keepers?
To be Bavuma.
Okay.
I think it would be Bavuma. He's done very well. There's always that any bigger platform like this, it's a big stage for them. I think he will definitely excel. Yeah, I do echo what John is saying. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, at this point in time, Mosimane has carved out his legacy as far as what he's done with South African football. Where does this put him? If he gets this right tomorrow, I mean, he's already probably the best coach we've ever exported. But I mean, as far as African coaches, I mean, he goes up another level, another notch, doesn't he, John T, in terms of just his accolades and what he's achieved? I mean, how do you top a man who's done it at opposite ends of the continent if he does it?
No, totally. It goes up a notch. Adds another trophy to his belt, which he's got plenty of. As we mentioned earlier, it'll be his first it will be his first wire-to-wire Champions League success with Ahly. And he'll really have made his mark again. And I think, he's done well in the sense that as well that, there was a period in the season, I think, where they, in Ahly, in Cairo, the pressure's completely different. I know the South African Football Journalists Association interviewed Pizzo the other week, and he was saying he has to go to when he goes to the shopping mall, he doesn't bother going because he has to take 3 bodyguards with him. So he doesn't get accosted by fans, and he rather stays in his hotel. It's that kind of fanaticism. 70 million people, I think, Cairo supporting his team, or at least the majority of them supporting his team. So I think in that sense, he's done an amazing job with that pressure. You had at some point in the season legends of Al Ahly coming to the party and saying this guy can't coach. This guy doesn't know what he's doing, but there he is in another Champions League final, looking at getting them their 10th. And I think that that's a fantastic achievement. It's fantastic for South Africa, and I think he deserves all the credit if he can. Whether he can pull it off or not, he's done a good job. But with Ali, you don't know if he loses, he could lose his job, because that's just the nature of it in that part of the world.
No, for sure. Funny. I mean, in terms of those attacking options on the side of Kaizer Chiefs, fans are maybe worried that Chiefs will be a bit defensive going into this one. But who are you looking to kind of, come at the hour, come at the man type performance? Because we haven't seen enough of those from the key players at Kaizer Chiefs. I think as a collective, they've been able to drag each other over the finish line to get to this point. But who are you hoping lives up to their own hype?
Well, Kabza, I will give the team that played the last game, take them back again to start the the finals
Mm.
because they are where they are now because of those players. I mean, they work very hard, and by now they've got a bit of an experience. You know, they won't be overawed by the situation. You know, so I think definitely if you give them a chance, not the new ones like Billiard and those. I
Mm.
mean, those ones are much more cosmetic players for me.
Hmm.
You know, they're players that wants to for decoration. He would
All
be there
style,
for
no
decoration.
substance.
No. Yeah, no. Too much smoke, no fire. So
Okay.
I will give the guys that played. I mean, your Katsande. Who thought Katsande will play in the finals
For
of
sure.
the
For
of the
sure.
African Champions League? You know, he was nowhere to be seen.
For
Parker
sure.
also. You know, they've been grafting. So they deserve really to start. Guys like Ngobo, the youngster, because
Mm.
that one is much more of the visionary player amongst the other players that are starting or that will be starting.
Okay.
So
I mean,
definitely, for me,
yeah.
100% give the chance to the team that last played, and then start with Pavuma instead of Akbe.
Okay, so Bruce Vuma in the back, Angezana Matoho, Cardoso, Frostler, Blom, Katsande, Sussman, Ngobo, Nukovic, and Parker, John T. That's the team that Fanny's referring to. You reckon, are you in agreement they can get the job done?
Yeah, I mean,
without Kama?
yeah, I mean, they're the team, as Fanny mentioned, that got them through the semi.
Yeah.
It did the job for them. I mean, you can possibly use Karma off the bench, use Manyama off the bench. Whoever's fit, you can use the other players that have come back to fitness off the bench and give the players who did so well for you a start. Although again, the temptation will be to throw in the experienced players. So, and I mean, Billiat can argue that he hasn't played for a long time, and he did the job when he was required in Guinea. At Horoya, he got the goal that got them into the quarterfinals. So he's made his mark on the Champions League already, although he hasn't perhaps performed at Chiefs. Well, he certainly hasn't performed at Chiefs as well as he did at Sundowns. So there's also that element. I know Manyama obviously scored a hat-trick against Golden Arrows in the league, and then got injured. So he's also another one who is an interesting player. I think he's fit, isn't he? Hope I'm not talking about a player who's not fit, but
no, I think they're injury free at this point. They got the whole squad available pretty much.
Billiat also he can be. I mean, we were talking about sharpness earlier. But the Manyara at least played the last couple of league games. But Billiat has been out for so long that it's hard to see him being match sharp. I would definitely look at starting him from the bench. Just with that in mind, in terms of the fact that you don't know if you're going to get 90 minutes out of him. Manyama depends on whether he's fully fit, but he does add a dimension to Chiefs' attack. He did last season, and I think there was just a bit of a tactical issue maybe with Gavin Hunt, and the way he wanted Manyama to play wasn't quite what Manyama wanted to do, or I don't know, but it didn't seem to quite fit each other, those two. So maybe now, I mean, the way he bounced back when Hunt left spoke of a player who felt like it had a bit of a pressure gauge relieved on him. So, and I think he can add something. So it might be that Baxter decides, I think that decides to give Manyama and Manyama's experience a go ahead of someone else. But I think generally, Fanny's absolutely right. You must go with the players who have got them there, including Vavuma. I also think.
Okay, Vuma, there we go. We'll see how it goes, gents. It's gonna end in tears for someone. So this comes a point where you put your head on the chopping block and make a prediction. Fanny Matira, let's start with you. How do you think it's going to end in Casablanca? And in terms of, why do you think it's going to go the way that you're predicting? If you can take us into your confidence.
Well, before I come to that, the point that Jonty is putting across, it's very much important that a guy like Manyama and a guy like Billiard, obviously Manyama will get a nod from me, but overall the squad, will play above themselves because there is a new coach that has arrived
Right.
at Chiefs. So they
Yeah.
will want to be seen, performing so that
Mm.
they stamp their authority,
Right.
But all in all, after saying that, I think Pizzo and Ahly will be the front runner. Excuse the pun. When it comes to after the end of the game tomorrow evening.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Okay, there we
because
go.
because of their experience
Yeah.
and also because Pizzo is a no doubt is a great planner. He's a
Yeah.
great technician.
Tactician. Yeah.
He knows exactly what he has to do.
Are you
Uh,
gonna maybe offer a guess at a score line? Do you think it'll be a tidy 1-something goal difference, or do you think there's gonna be a potential slap?
no. It will be very tight because
Yeah.
Stuart Baxter's teams normally they don't concede much of the game of the goals. So it
Right.
would be very tight. A 2-1, a 2-1 score, a 3-1, not 3-2. I don't see them scoring 2 goals because
Right.
most of their goals will always come from standard situation, corner kick, free
Right.
kicks. Then they're
Mm,
going to score.
mm.
Otherwise, it's very difficult to break that defense of Ahly.
Okay. Okay. John T, your prediction? How do you see this one going?
I still can't. I honestly, I can't decide. But if I was to say logically, I would go with Al Ahly because
Logically.
they're the better team in terms of players, in terms of
Yeah.
what they've achieved, in terms of the experience, in terms of everything. Even their coach, who's been with them all season and who knows how to win this thing. So I think
Right.
Ali will win, but it will be very tight. I think because it's funny. It also said. Baxter's team won't concede many goals. He'll play I think they'll play like a bit like they did against Wydad, which even though they won the tie 1-0, I think if you look at possession and chances, Wydad pretty much dominated. Chiefs just defended for their lives and extremely well. And they'll have to do that again against Ali, who, if they get in front early, it's going to be problematic for Chiefs. So I would go perhaps 2-1 to Al Ali.
There you go. Okay.
In this one.
And there we go. I don't know. I think if Chiefs score first, they might have an opportunity to sneak something. But, considering what's happened as far as, the Champions League we referenced in the Euros recently, it's very hard to call anything nowadays. And it is a wonderful occasion. We'll see how it pans out. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening. And to everybody who's joined us on YouTube for this look ahead to the game tomorrow evening. It is going to be beamed for everybody now. Having earlier been announced that it was going to be on SuperSport only, but it's now also going to be on SABC for everybody to be able to watch it. And I think the timing is perfect for something like this, considering the week we've just had. So thank you to all of you who continue to visit us here on Front Runner. We're getting ready for the new season, but we will be doing a bit of a watch along tomorrow night for the game. Join us for that right here on YouTube. And of course, we'll give you all the details about what we plan on doing for the new season ahead, which we don't know what is happening. John T, before I let you go, any word around the league's resumption, around, obviously, I'm guessing the whole Royal AM thing is holding things up, but any idea as to where we stand?
Yeah, Royal AM seem to love not turning up for things like DC's matches. I'm not sure.
They're consistent.
If that stance is going to get them very far, but at the moment, no, I haven't heard anything on when the season is starting. I mean, what you'd expect to happen, unless Royal AM can win their latest case, what you'd expect to happen is for them to be booted out, for Chipper to stay up. And for as soon as that happens, the season dates fixtures to come out. But at the moment, it's not. I haven't heard anything confirmed, and
that's so nice of you to think that they're gonna still be in the league after all of this.
Royal AM.
Yeah.
Well,
do you think they'll still have a place in South African football after all of this is said and done?
Probably not. They'll probably get. Look, I think the DC. or throw the book at them.
Yeah.
It's a case of, I just think, I don't really understand their logic in terms of not turning up and just playing the matches under protest.
Yeah.
Saying we're doing this under protest, but playing the matches, because then at least if you win them and win the playoffs, you're in the top.
You're sorted. You're golden.
Relying on a judge ruling in your favor, and that there's not really a history of that in terms of the PSL not getting their way in the court.
For sure.
So I just think that they've dug themselves a hole that they're not going to be able to get out of. I don't think they won't come back. Unless they kind of are told to, submit an apology, but they don't seem like a club who want to apologize for anything.
No, for sure. No,
my
it's
suspicion is
very stubborn camps on either
suspicion
side.
is they might not return. But yeah, obviously it's a bit of an unfortunate situation. It's not the first time that the court has decided who's staying up and who's going down, and it's just you'd like it to be a little bit more decided on the field of play, if you like. Some of the off the field stuff leaves a very sour taste in the mouth, and I think it's not just Royal AM, it's the PSL that are also at least partly to blame for this mess. So I think it'd be nice if we could find a better way to resolve situations, even this SABC and Supersport thing. I mean, come on, were we really having arguments that have to be settled by the government on the day before the game to get the game shown, to most of the people in South Africa? It's a bit of a nonsense.
It's a crazy one. And Tiffany, I don't know, do you have 2 cents or anything you want to say about the Royal AM thing? Being an administrator, somewhat yourself, watching from far. Any observations?
Well, I'm just echoing what John is saying. All that he's saying, it's really true. Football is always played in the field there. If they were a bit wise, they would have played under protest. And with Sinki Mnisi there, it's quite amazing and shocking that he didn't advise them the right way, because
maybe he did.
It won't end up nice for them. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. Gents, thank you so much for your time. And folks, we'll keep you abreast of all of that. You follow us at Front Sports on Twitter. Any news that comes through on these very topics that we've ended off this conversation with, you'll find it there. So thank you so much to the editor for The Citizen, Pagati. It's Mr. John T. Mark and Kaizer Chiefs legend himself, striker Pani Matida. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a good evening. And to you who's been watching, thank you for joining us. And to Fidel behind the scenes, thanks to you too. Cheers, guys.